Good evening. A protest is scheduled to happen at this hour as activists call for the removal of the officers who handcuffed and pepper sprayed a 9-year-old girl. That incident happened last Friday. The police union says police on scene followed policy, but some local leaders are demanding immediate action. Christian Garzone joins us now from the Public Safety Building downtown with more on this. Christian?
Well, John, Reverend Lewis Stewart is calling on the immediate suspension without pay of all police involved in this incident. Also, the release of all body cam footage. He says right now we only have about 2 angles, and the more video made available, the better to illustrate this situation fully. Stewart also said they treated this 9-year-old as if she were a criminal and that the city's mental health crisis team should have been called in to assist. Stewart says this right here shows exactly why police departments across the country need to have reform. He says immediately police in Rochester need to not pepper spray children or handcuff them. He also feels that RPD should not be responding directly to mental health calls like this. The mayor did say over the weekend that with this initial 911 call, this likely would not have been something the person in crisis team would have immediately responded to. But Stewart says so far the response from the city and the police chief does give him hope of greater transparency and cooperation to come, but more, he says, needs to be done.
The Rochester Police Department once again mishandled an incident involving a child. In an assessment of this incident involving a distressed 9-year-old, representatives of the RPD acted inappropriately when they apprehended, handcuffed, and then pepper sprayed this child who really needed a mental health intervention.
Now, Reverend Stewart says we cannot wait on another incident like this to take place. We'll have a reaction from the police union at 5 and 6. In Rochester, Christian Garzone, News 8. John, back to you.
All right, Christian, thank you. The Persons in Crisis team was launched just over a week ago. Mayor Lovely Warren says it was not deployed because the initial 911 call did not register as a mental health crisis. One therapist says when officers discovered this, in fact, was a mental health crisis, the team should have been called in.
So if law enforcement comes onto a scene and it's a mental health crisis team, I know that wasn't the original call in this situation, but that's what it became. At that point, instead of the law enforcement trying to restrain the child, you know, this is where they could have been, you know, just keeping the child safe, but calling the emergency, you know, FIT team or mental health crisis team and say, hey, we need you to respond. Can you come? Because I know there was multitudes of other, you know, police cars that showed up. So why could the team not show up?
2 local lawmakers are proposing a new bill that bans the use of chemical agents like pepper spray on children under the age of 18. Senator Sam Rebroke and Assemblymember Demond Meeks say this legislation aims to protect children from the harmful effects of chemical agents. This is a developing story, of course. We will have more on that proposal coming up at rochesterfirst.com.